In the League of Legends community, we use a ton of terminology without even thinking about it. Things like ganks, CS, wave management, wards, and more are all just words that inherently have meaning to most of us just because we played the game for so long. If you've never played League, they would obviously mean nothing. Yet, telling someone to freeze their wave or slow push it instantly translates a concept quickly and concisely, and this language is very important to have in order to communicate ideas effectively. There are also words that do translate across games. An idea such as tempo carries over from traditional sports like tennis, or even over the board games like chess. And health, mana, and gold, those are all resources that for the most part have been used in tons of games over the years and are innately familiar concepts to many people. They can serve as a bridge for newer players to anchor on to a familiar idea that they understand, and they'll learn more quickly because of it. Surely there are terms that would make plenty of sense in League and greatly help players to understand other concepts, but the community hasn't widely adopted them yet. So what if we started borrowing terms from other games? There is one in particular that I believe should be used by League of Legends players, but really isn't. Lethal. If you're at all familiar with card games, you might know this term all too well. It basically just refers to the ability to get a kill or win the game outright by playing your hand in a very specific way. Even as someone who hasn't played Hearthstone, it doesn't take a ton of research to find out that one of the most iconic moments from the game's history was when beloved late streamer Reckful missed lethal at an invitational tournament. As the rank 1 player, he didn't find the winning combo, even with all the pieces of the puzzle available. The knowledgeable announcers didn't even realize it at the time, so who can really blame him? Card games are hard. What I'm getting at is that I have no idea how Hearthstone works, but I can take the concept of lethal from a game I am intimately familiar with, like Slay the Spire, and I'll instantly understand the gravity of a situation where you missed lethal. It can be heartbreaking to throw over a simple miscalculation, or by just not seeing the winning line. But this often gets pointed out to you later, or you notice it yourself in hindsight, and it's that realization that's so soul-crushing. So if we were to translate this to League, how would it work? We don't have the ability to just add up numbers on cards and calculate if we can get a kill or not. But what we do have is one key idea that's unknown to a lot of players that causes you to lose out on kills a lot. In today's guide, we're going to be exploring the main way that you miss lethal and why you don't even know it. And by the end of the video, you should be able to look back at your own games and have the very humbling experience of knowing you could have had a lot more kills, but let them slip through your fingers. And remember to check out our site, skillcap.com, for world-class guides which are backed by skill insurance. It's insurance, but for your rank. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, you get your money back. So check us out after this. To start, I want to show footage from a Smurf commentary I recorded a little bit ago. The game is relatively even at this point, and I end up stopping a Rift Herald take to gank for my top laner. We successfully dive the Ornn, and because Wither is an absolutely fair and balanced ability, I outplayed the Lilia to get the double kill. From this point onwards, I do not see Lilia at all. I farm camps for about 50 seconds, and now it would make a lot of sense to just keep full clearing and then recall to get an item spike. Except if I did that, I would have missed lethal. Okay, how exactly? Well, let me show you what happened. Can counter gank here actually. He's just kind of pushing like crazy. Yep. Alright, so this probably seems like witchcraft or map hacks, but it isn't. I knew the Lilia was extremely likely to be here even without seeing her at all. But how did I know, and how can you do this in your games too? Moving my camera to mid lane here gives us a lot of vital information that we need in order to make this play. First of all, we have to read the body language of our mid laner and the enemy laner. So there's another term that might mean absolutely nothing to you yet, but let's talk about what I mean. How laners play gives a lot away about their intentions. We can jump to another clip really quickly in order to explain this more simply. As I'm walking out of base off of my reset, we can see Jax answering a wave at his tower before he disappears off the map when the wave dies. Obviously, now I have no indication that Jax will stay long enough or that I should look for a gank at all, until now. I've been pathing to my blue this whole time, and while I can go top to kill Jax, it's going to take me a solid amount of time to get there from this far away. And that time he could easily just run away, wasting my time. But I know that he won't. How? Body language. He could have easily just based after clearing the wave moments before, but by choosing not to, he has locked himself in for the foreseeable future. The arrival of new waves is generally an extremely good breakpoint to gauge your opponent's actions, and often it will give a period of time for someone to clearly lay out their intentions. There is only one explanation for why Jax would ever show on this wave now, and it's because he wants to push it. The problem for him is that that action takes a finite amount of time, and I know how long that amount of time is. There's absolutely no reason for Jax to decide to walk up to this wave and then half shove it only to leave. If that were the case, he would have just left after the last one was dead. I essentially know now that he's going to stay until the wave is completely dead. You can see I just watch his lane as Jax killing the wave gives me the easiest ticking timer to evaluate if I will have enough time to get the kill. And you can even hear the student I was explaining this to at the time realize how valuable this skill actually is. He's gonna go for the cannon like without fail. So
I need to recognize those exact situations better.
it leads to a very easy kill, and this example was definitely a simple one. But when it came time for my student to play, we saw a more complicated scenario that used the exact same skill to blow both the enemy top laner summoners in a similar manner. Let's switch to his game really quickly to elaborate. He's also playing Zac in this one and is watching top lane as Swain pushes in the wave after killing his lane opponent. In the next few moments, we will be able to tell exactly if we can go for this play on Swain or not. Why? Once again, body language. Remember how I said that waves are usually a good way of determining what your opponents will do next? In this case, the incoming wave is extremely far away and won't be here for a while. But Swain isn't going to just kill time doing absolutely nothing until then. He's going to make his intentions very clear very quickly. Let's watch and see what happens. So basically we're gonna read body language, right? He keeps walking up after the wave is dead, he's gonna keep hitting the tower. So you have plenty of time here. Yep.
Wait for the set, maybe?
Yep. Once the plate's dead is when he would back up, right? That's what makes sense. So you can go now, yeah. Yeah, you see exactly how he kicks a plate and then backs up right after.
I really wish I hit that W though.
It's okay.
Or the E, I mean.
He's probably out.
Ghosted.
Yeah. If he had landed the E, the Swain would be dead even after using both sums, but it's easy enough to see how this could have been lethal as well. The main takeaway here is that players do not do things without reasons. And yes, that means even in low elo. We never said the reasons had to be good. But there's always some method to the madness, as no choice is truly random. If he wanted to back up, he would have done it here after killing the wave. And if he stays, there's no wave here yet for him to clear, so the only reason would be to hit the tower. He's made his goal very clear with his actions, and we can easily read that to a massive benefit as you just saw. Okay, so we have a lot more information on body language and why it's important. So let's go look at the example where I counter ganked again and apply it there. In the last two situations, our teammates haven't been in lane, so we've only had to read the opponent's body language. Now we have to interpret our own teammates as well. This is an extremely important frame to pause on because it gives us incredibly important information about what our teammate will be doing next. Viktor clearly pushed mid and wanted to hit tower to get the plates. But what about afterwards? When the third plate gets taken, he pretty much has two choices to make here. He will either back up to do something like ward, recall, or roam, or he will keep pushing and go for the next plate. The wave is far away, so that wouldn't immediately give him a reason to change his actions. Once again, we're using the idea that players do not do things randomly. Hitting tower is very clearly to get more plates. He continued autoing after the third plate died, and if he just wanted the immediate gold for an item, he would have backed up right after. Because of this, I know that Viktor is going to overextend for a longer period of time than what I would consider safe, and I need to play around that. Realistically, Viktor can only hit tower like this until his wave is dead. At that point, he'll have to back up. Fortunately, I know that that is a finite amount of time, and it would be less than 10 seconds. I can now choose to commit at most 10 seconds of my time to guarantee that my Viktor gets tower damage for free, or I can go to my red and hope that things work out and that my teammate doesn't int. I think the choice to make there is pretty obvious if you're distrusting of teammates like I am. The problem with Viktor's pushing is further exacerbated by the fact that if you look at the map, no one on our team is currently showing. If you were the enemy jungler, you'd be doing the exact same thing that we just taught you, and using body language to tell that Viktor would keep pushing for another plate. Surely it's obvious to gank it for them, which makes it even more obvious that you should counter gank. Also remember that this is a Smurf game for a reason. I intentionally wanted a low elo teammate to demonstrate that this works even when your teammates are quote unquote unpredictable, because they really aren't. The idea is that in low elo, your teammates can often feel extremely random, but if you can use body language on your opponents and your teammates, you're going to be able to predict the future with scary accuracy. It all comes down to the idea that reason exists for things that happen, even if the logic may be faulty. We can still read players that are unpredictable as long as you know the windows in which players commit to actions. By using waves as the main divider, we can show up to plays that matter and find lethal with certainty where it may have not existed before. If you weren't convinced that this will fix a big issue for you, I urge you to record your games from your perspective. It can often feel like these situations are easy to see, but it's because we are giving examples with all of the information. It all starts with having camera movement to actually watch the plays in the first place. I cannot stress enough that the absolute most common issue I have with all players I coach is that they simply don't move their camera enough to be able to use this tactic effectively. This is footage from a recent coaching session, and we have worked on camera movement before. You can see that while he is panning his camera occasionally, it doesn't stay where it needs to be to actually catch information as he goes in for this gank. And because of that, he lacks necessary info on the enemy's body language as well as his teammates' follow-up. It ends up working out, but it was very hard to tell that it would until he was basically already done with the play. If you find that in your recordings you can't actively assess body language, camera movement is the first step to gaining access to this incredibly overpowered skill that essentially lets you see the future and set up lethal on opportunities you have been completely missing before now. Alright, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skillcapped. We offer a 5-division rank up guarantee and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 2,000 guides curated into over 270 courses. No one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell over 1,100 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all your questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted. Link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good luck and happy ranking.